This podcast is brought to you in part by Academy Travel at MickeyVacations.com. Academy Travel is the official travel sponsor of the Pirates and Princesses podcast, and we can't recommend them enough. Go to MickeyVacations.com/PNP. That's MickeyVacations.com/PNP to get started on your next Disney dream vacation today. And now on with the show. What do we know about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? We're going to talk about it on this episode of Pirates and Princesses. Please stick around.
Hello there. So glad you could come along.
I put a spell on you.
Grid is live. Initiate light cycle battle.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
For a safe trip, remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the cabin. Be sure to watch your children, and no smoking, please.
Welcome to the Pirates and Princesses podcast.
We're a different kind of Disney podcast. We do it our way.
We talk about Disney parks, Disney movies, TV, video games.
Anything Disney.
I'm your host, Thom Pratt.
And I'm your other host, Kam Pratt.
Welcome back to Pirates and Princesses. As always, I'm your host, Thom Pratt. I'm joined by my lovely wife,
Cambria Pratt.
Cambria
I
Pratt.
always hate saying my name. I feel like an idiot.
It's like, state your name, please.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. Anyway, go ahead.
So, we're going to talk about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We've talked about it in the past, but we're going to talk about what we know so far about the new addition to Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So there are quite a few details that have been leaked, and there's actually a lot of information out there that nobody really seems to know what's going on with it.
Usually people are like, Galaxy's Edge, yay! And then you say, what's going on in there? I don't know, but yay!
Yeah,
You know?
it's Star Wars!
It's
Yay!
Star Wars.
But yeah, we don't really know.
What does it mean?
So we've gathered a couple articles around the internet, including some from our own site, The Kingdom Insider, at thekingdominsider.com. And we're going to try to put together kind of what we know so far about Galaxy's Edge. We do know it's a massive 14-acre construction project at both Disney resorts on both coasts.
Yes.
Disneyland and Disney's Hollywood Studios in Orlando. And if you've been to either park lately, you're going to see a lot of construction. Yes. I mean, they're huge. Now, Disneyland, it's actually on the other side of Thunder Mountain. And in Disney World, it is, it's like half the park now. It's taking up a huge section over by Toy Story Land and
or Grand Avenue.
Grand
Avenue. It kind of goes the whole way across the back. Like,
it's
from one
massive.
side to the other side across the back.
So, Galaxy's Edge. Okay, so it's scheduled to open next year, I believe, in the spring or summer in Disneyland.
Yes.
And in the fall or winter in Walt Disney World.
Yep, as far as we know. And
they need to hurry because we've been to both parks this year, and it doesn't look like they're anywhere near done.
Yeah, well, Toy Story Land, they were clear up to the end of it. I mean,
the paint was literally drying.
Was there signs up or something?
Yeah, there were wet paint signs actually in the queue for Toy Story Mania, the new queue. During the press event, like 2 days before they opened it to the public, they had wet paint signs. And I joked, I said, the paint's not even going to be dry in this place. And sure enough, it wasn't dry.
Did you sniff it?
I didn't sniff it.
You didn't sniff
I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it either.
You didn't sniff any of the things that makes new construction smell like you sniffed Pandora?
No, I didn't. Because there wasn't really a lot of new construction. Toy Story Mania, they moved the entrance, obviously, to the other side.
That's
but
new construction?
Yeah, but like...
Did it smell like Lowe's?
It didn't smell like Lowe's. It just smelled like Disney cleaning products.
Did the popsicle benches smell like popsicles?
No. They didn't smell like... They smelled like hot.
Oh.
Hot sun. That's what everything smelled like that day. So, and then, of course, there's not a whole lot of construction with Slinky Dog Dash Coaster because it's mostly outside and there's just a little bit of queue. So, yeah, I didn't really sniff anything.
Okay. Because you do that. So.
I do. Well,
I'm betting you'll sniff Galaxy's Edge.
I will scratch.
There's a lot of construction there.
There is a lot of construction. And actually, speaking of Slinky Dog Dash in Walt Disney World, if you take a ride on Slinky Dog Dash, you get a great view of Galaxy's Edge construction from the top of the roller coaster, which is kind of cool.
You wouldn't know because you wouldn't go back on it again.
I went on it once. That was enough for me. I'm not a big coaster fan. I'm really not. Like, even like, I love rides. I just don't like roller coasters that much. And I rode it. I mean, it's okay. It's a coaster. It's all right. I'll ride it again. Anyway, I'll ride it again sometime.
Which is Galaxy's Edge.
So Galaxy's Edge. Okay, so they're both editions are going to be virtually identical from what
I understand.
Which I'm trying to figure, because Disneyland I don't think has as much room, but apparently they're going to be virtually identical, which makes sense for them to actually build. I mean, this is kind of a first too, right? They're building it in both parks simultaneously. Usually Disney doesn't do that. Usually Disney will build an attraction in one park and then wait a couple of years, see how it does, and then bring it to the other park. But they're just dropping it in both parks.
Why build one when you can build two?
Well, that's it. And I'm surprised that they're actually not building it in like Tokyo or something too. I think they'll probably test to see how it does over here. But 14 acres. We know that there are going to be two, I believe, e-ticket attractions. Mm-hmm. In the 14 acres, we only have two attractions. So either they take up a lot of room, or there are a lot of buildings, in Galaxy's Edge, marketplaces and stuff like that.
They're calling it the Black Spire Outpost, and the whole thing's on the planet of Batuu. So you're on Batuu at Black Spire Outpost.
Right.
They're calling it Black Spire Outpost because those rocky-looking spires are actually, weren't they supposed to like a tree at one point, and they somehow fossilized?
Fossilized, yeah.
And now they're black rocky spires, but it's like they're fossilized trees, I guess.
Yeah, and they're really pushing Batuu, because Batuu is being mentioned in some of the spin-off books, the Thrawn books, and we missed it. We actually went to go see Solo, and they mentioned Black Spire Outpost in Solo, and I totally didn't catch it. So,
and I guess the speculation is going to be that Black Spire Outpost or Batuu is going to be in the last movie, because people were thinking that, they're going to land the Falcon there, and that's why it's there now. And I mean, we don't know that for sure, but that's what we're hearing, and it's around the rumors we're hearing.
Yeah, so I mean, that would be kind of interesting if basically, because we don't really know the exact time frame of the story of Galaxy's Edge. But if they continued the story of the sequels beyond the movies, that would make total sense.
I think it's going to be like after, it's they're mentioning it in the movies, but where we're going to be at when it's open is like Batuu after.
Yeah, so that will explain why the Falcon is parked, and that's actually going to be part of, I believe, the Falcon attraction,
which we're going to talk about.
Which we'll talk about here in a minute.
So our two e-ticket attractions are going to be what?
We don't have actual names for them yet, I don't think, but we there will be a Resistance battle
the
first order attraction and a Millennium Falcon attraction. I'd be very disappointed if they opened a Star Wars land and they did not have a Millennium Falcon attraction. So I guess we talk about those. The big one, I guess, is actually going to be the First Order attraction.
That's the big one?
That's going to be the big one.
Okay.
They're just calling it tentatively the First Order Resistance Battle Ride. I guess. Now, if they announce the official,
what it's about.
I don't know. The First Order. Now, that is the attraction that, if you've seen the photos around of the AT-ATs, they're actually going to be inside that attraction. So you're actually going into a First Order Star Destroyer, I believe. It's supposed to put you in the middle of the battle between the First Order and the Resistance, and you're going to be in a ride vehicle that's an eight-person fleet transport. Now, what we don't know, I guess there's been some footage out there that looks like there's some screens involved. Whether or not the entire attraction is...
I hope it's not Star Tours 2.0.
Screens, or... Yeah, I'm kind of worried about...
It's actually a ride.
Like a ride-through.
Yeah, not just a, hey, it's Star Tours again.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of wondering about, with it, is like this basically going to be Star Tours like 3.0. But yeah, from what people have seen there, it's going to be really cutting edge technology. I think it's going to be kind of, what I've seen, it looks like it's kind of similar to like Flight of Passage. So at least part of the ride experience will be screens, which seems to be, it's cool, but it's almost like in some ways it's kind of a cop-out, I think, because like, instead of having, the ride through with a physical whatever, you're basically just, it's an interactive movie.
Well, we know they're building some things for it, because I know they were doing like X-Wings and stuff like that too, where they were talking about, and they were building AT-ATs, and different things for this park. So, and then they said they were talking about making sure they were using the language. What is it? Arabesh or whatever.
Oh, Arabesh, yeah, for all the writing.
Yes. But I was reading, you're on Wikipedia.
I'm on Wikipedia.
It says the ride will partially involve a rescue that doesn't go as planned, with a hijacked First Order fleet transport being part of the rescue. The official name of the ride has yet to be revealed, though internally it has been given the working title Alcatraz.
Yeah, like you're trying to break out of...
I know, I'm like, okay. So there you go.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, it kind of is like a throwback to the beginning of Force Awakens when Finn and Poe are trying to break out of, which was actually a pretty fun sequence. Regardless of what you thought of the movie, that was actually a pretty fun sequence. So, it'll be interesting to see. What kind of throws me is that the walkers are the original trilogy walkers. They're not the gorilla walkers that they had in The Last Jedi. They're using the old walkers, probably because most people, recognize the old walkers. Right. It is kind of an interesting choice too. I guess it makes sense, but with Galaxy's Edge, that everything is based on the sequel trilogy, which, right now there's a lot of mixed feelings about the sequel trilogy, but I guess people will go because it's Star Wars,
right?
And we've got the Falcon and we've got walkers and all that jazz. So, the other attraction is the Millennium Falcon attraction, which we don't know much about either, other than it looks like we talked about Mission Space.
Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of.
It kind of
reminds me of Mission Space. It is talking about that. Okay, it's you're gonna be on the Falcon, flipping switches and shooting blasters, control it by yourself.
Yeah, so Disney's working with NVIDIA to develop new technology that can render graphics for the ride in real time. So that sounds like it's definitely going to be a simulator. It sounds like a beefed up version of Mission Space.
And people just love Mission Space, so let's make another one.
Well, looking at the concept art, it looks like they basically have the Falcon. It looks like the cockpit, except they have a lot more chairs in it, but I think you're probably going to have like your pilot, your co-pilot, navigator, positions. Again, we don't know a whole lot about it, but it sounds like a video game.
But,
it really
where
does.
it gets cool is, we've heard this from cast members too when we were at the parks, is that how you perform, if you follow directions and how you perform, is going to affect how you're going to get treated in the park. Like, if you do really well, you're going to be rewarded. If you bring banged up and it's a mess, you're going to be put on a list of a bounty hunter.
Yeah,
and
so
if you show up, the bounty hunter actor might come, they might interact with you depending on how you bring the ship in. And we heard that from a couple different cast members we talked to also.
Yeah, so I wonder if they'll track all that with your magic bands. Like, you were on the ship that did the XYZ whatever, so
you were sitting in this seat, so you
right.
were at the ship. We
yeah.
hate you.
Yeah, so I could totally see that, and that would be a really cool layer to add. They are talking that Galaxy's Edge is going to be the most immersive experience. So they're trying to out Potter Universal, I think, with this.
And there's been a lot of patents lately involving things like blaster fire, like blasters are flying through the air, like holograms, moving floors, different things that that could come into play here. Ways they could track people to interact with them with actors and things. So there's all kinds of patents being filed that I am sure connect to this.
Yeah. I actually know some people who are working on it, but even within the companies working on the technology, they're not allowed to talk to each other, so they don't even know what they're working on exactly.
Well, they have to name it weird things too, so people don't know what's
put
what.
the pieces together as to what, because I think they're trying to make sure, since they announced it so far out, obviously they don't want Universal to catch on to what they're doing and one up them, because Universal builds stuff very, very quickly. So I think Disney is going to absolutely knock it out of the park, but Universal does build stuff very quickly, and they can beat them to the punch.
So what else? What else do we know?
There will be a cantina restaurant, of course. That
Obviously.
Makes sense. I believe I read before there were actually going to be 2 restaurants for sure: a cantina and then like a table service restaurant. But the only confirmed menu item so far is blue milk. Mm-hmm. So they could also offer green milk. You could pump your own.
Let's not go there.
So that would be, oh my god, people would totally do
no,
it.
Thank you.
Pump your own green milk.
No, thank you. Okay, Disney's confirmed that you will see some Star Wars characters. Mm-hmm. You're gonna see Chewie, BB-8, Nien Nunb.
They're actually getting his voice actor back, which is very exciting.
I did a story on that, yeah.
And what I'm actually super excited about is that in the cantina they're bringing Captain Rex from the original version of Star Tours back.
Oh yeah,
he's actually going to be a DJ. I'm freaking super excited. Now I don't know if it's going to be Pee Wee Herman doing his voice again. He's still working now. He had a movie on Netflix and he looked eerily like he did 30 years ago, like he's been drinking unicorn blood or something. But yeah, it'd be cool to. I mean, it's definitely a throwback, I think, for the fans. Mm-hmm. But any kind of nod to like retro Disney, I think fans appreciate. I mean, I would love to see them on Star Tours. I'd love to see them at least have one or two of the theaters that you can go back and watch the original film.
You mean the original ride?
The original ride, yeah. Because I mean, everything's there. They just have to change the movie. Take 3PO out.
We don't still know what they're going to do with Star Tours. I mean, in Disneyland, it's in a completely different place.
Yeah, it's in Tomorrowland.
It's in Tomorrowland. Yeah. So I'm not sure what they're going to do there. And in Hollywood Studios, it's on the way to where Galaxy's Edge is.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
That we talked about this before, and it's my OCD, but that irks me that like we're going to have a Star Wars experience, a little bit in New York, and then we're going into...
Yeah, I think something's going to be changed, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see them just, like, pick it up and move it.
I don't know if they can do that.
I don't know if it'll be,
like, there are some people I heard talk about how they're going to exit into a different location, which would take you into Galaxy's Edge or different things. So I don't know. Who knows? We just know we'll have to wait and see. Yeah,
so we don't know what's going to happen to Star Wars. I do think eventually, especially at Disneyland where space is such a commodity. I could see them shutting it down completely.
I don't know.
And then using that area for another attraction.
Moving that inside or something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with that yet. But we do know is there's some other cool things. One is going to be the Star Wars Hotel, which is supposed to be incredibly immersive. It's almost like LARPing.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Now, there aren't a whole lot of details about it, but they're talking about checking in for like a multi-day experience. So it sounds to me like you're going to have some kind of a role. They're talking they might view it as like the cruise ship where you check in and then you're sort of an actor. The closest thing I can think to it is if you watched Star Trek The Next Generation, where they go into the holodeck and they would all kind of pretend to be characters in like 1940s, detective thing.
You mixed Star Trek with Star Wars.
Well, no, I'm saying that
we're going to hurt you.
But that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of where the crew would, of course something bad always happened. They wound up getting trapped in the simulation or whatever. But it reminds me of like sort of going into like the holodeck and being part of the Star Wars universe for a couple of days.
Well, this place is going to be really expensive. I know that.
Oh yeah, they're talking a couple $1,000s for like a 2 or 3 day experience.
Right.
So it's going to be a high end experience. Now, whether or not you'll be allowed to leave the hotel. Now, the hotel is only in Walt Disney World. They're not building it in Disneyland. Actually, they're not building much of anything in Disneyland now because they had to halt construction on their other hotel because they're having a dispute with the city of Anaheim. So, yeah, there's a big construction zone in downtown Disney, and who knows what's going to happen. But we're not getting the Star Wars hotel there that we know of. And again, that's because I think space is such a premium at Disneyland. So
but it's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be cool. Looking forward to that, and I'm actually looking forward to the merchandise. The merchandise there, I mean, it's gonna be everything they've got now at times 10. They're gonna have the Toydarian market. Toydarians are like Watto from Phantom Menace. But they're gonna have a lot of like they look like almost like handcrafted
toys,
plushies and stuff. It looks pretty cool.
They have some AT-ATs and some different things. They're also gonna have in the marketplace. So they've already been showing some of the Star Wars merchandise with shirts and hats. They're gonna put in there, and then they're gonna have like kind of like they have with the Rookery at Pandora with the Banshees.
Yeah.
They're doing that, but they're gonna have some Star Wars characters, and I know they're doing the Loth Cat. From Rebels, yeah.
That's
the only thing they've mentioned so far.
There had been some blueprints or designs for a Porg, so I'm sure the Porg will probably be. And actually, we first saw the Porg in Last Jedi. We're like, that was totally designed to be a 100% toy.
Believe that.
That
was just done for marketing and
There's
toy sales.
No reason for the Porgs to be in the movie other than it's just a cute little whatever. But they were designed to sell toys.
Bank on that. So.
Yeah, so I would guess Porgs, Loth Cats. I can't really think of any other.
I'm sure they'll have other ones. But
yeah, so that'll be pretty cool. And then I'm sure there'll be high demand. Baby Wampas. I'm sure they will be high demand toys like the Banshees. I mean, it's funny because even though right now fandom's kind of split on Star Wars, these toys are going to be crazy popular. I mean, Avatar really didn't hold up. It's compared to the the fever around the movie when it first came out, everybody's like, oh, Avatar's over, it's done with. And then when, they opened Pandora and they had the Banshees, like, who would have imagined that, like, 10 years after the movie was hot, that people would be, trying to get these Banshee toys.
They were, but most people want the toys, but they don't really think about the movie.
No.
They don't watch the movie. Most people say they watched it, but they don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, and then now they're saying for the upcoming, the sequels they're doing to it, they're actually taking things from the park and the ride and putting it into the sequels.
Yeah, which I can see that, because they had a lot of new creatures and new environments in Flight of Passage, especially that, like the whales and the, like they were inside the cave and all of these things in the ride, that it would be a complete waste not to use them in the movie, because the whales were not in the movie. They didn't show the ocean too much in the movie. So they talked before, I know they were talking about doing more with like the underwater and Pandora going into the ocean. So and James Cameron loves that. I mean, he did The Abyss. He loves Titanic. He actually dove looking for the Titanic. I mean, the guy likes water. So I think we'll see lots of weird fish and stuff.
Oh, we'll find out.
Those giant whales.
Is there anything else that we know?
Well, one thing we know for sure is that the lines are going to be crazy busy.
Yes.
They are going to open it in Disneyland first. I think we've heard it's going to be a special ticketed event. They're going to upcharge to get into.
To get early.
Yeah,
to get opening.
to get into Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland.
They did that with Pixar Pier.
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they'll probably have a preview event. It'll probably cost money, and it'll probably be like a week or before everybody else can get in, or a couple days before. So no set date yet for the opening. I think this is really exciting though, just because it's the biggest expansion I think they've ever done at any.
Well, I'm
Disney
sure
park.
As it gets closer to 2019, we're going to start seeing more and more. From it about it. So I we'll keep you posted when we hear new things. But
yeah, this is what we know so far. And again, it's just not. I mean, there's information out there, but not a lot. And I think it's just Disney not wanting to tip their hand, or spoil what they had. Because from what I've heard, they're using technology that's like light years ahead of anything that's been done in a theme park before. So Pandora was basically just kind of a warm up exercise.
What I'm just worried about is if you're using all this technology and all this stuff, is what if it breaks all the time? Yeah,
I mean, I wondered that too, because you look at, we were just talking about the Great Movie Ride the other week, and you look at the Great Movie Ride, and it broke after the first couple months, the Footlight Parade, and they just never, but they never fixed it. For years it sat, and we look at the Yeti, Expedition Everest, years it's been broken, and it hasn't been fixed. And, the higher the technology, the more likely it is that stuff's going to break, like you said. And will Disney actually fix it, or will they just, well, it was, it was cool. The animatronics are all broken, but whatever. Yeah. People are still coming to the park, so whatever. And hopefully that's not the case, that they take care of it, because I've wondered that about Pandora. If stuff starts breaking, like the Shaman of Songs. If she breaks, they pull her behind the screen or whatever, and they put up a movie of her. Will it ever get to a point someday where it's like, yeah, she's too expensive to maintain, so we're just gonna throw up another screen and be done with it? Are they building these rides with all these screens just to anticipate animatronics breaking and just being like, we don't need to build animatronics anymore because
I know, but that's just gonna be disappointing. And I'm really hoping they aren't just like rides like Mission Space and Star Tours, again.
It's a glorified video game, basically.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's not where it's completely like that. That's what I'm just hoping. So anyway,
yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about it. Again, I'm not a huge fan of where the Star Wars movies are right now, but I still am excited about Galaxy's Edge. I think they're putting everything they've got into it, and I think it's going to be pretty impressive. So,
well, I just can't wait to see more. So,
yeah,
when we see it, we'll let you know.
When we see it, we'll let you know. Please subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher to get notifications when we have a new episode, and follow the Kingdom Insider at thekingdominsider.com. And before September 3rd, you've still got a few days. You can get in and enter our contest. We're giving away a trip to Walt Disney World and a trip to Disneyland. That's on thekingdominsider.com. Click on contests. And you'll find the entry forms for both of those vacations.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, guys. We will talk later.
Bye.
Pirates and Princesses is a production of Clownfish Studios. We are an unofficial Disney podcast, not endorsed or affiliated with the Walt Disney Company. You can visit us on the web at piratesandprincesses.net. That's piratesandprincesses.net. You can shoot us an email at piratespodcast@gmail.com. That's piratespodcast@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening and have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.